because, you know, you want to be there to love and support and hold and nurture and all of those things. But sometimes one can be too stifling to where the other doesn't get the chance to grow. And so when it's that overly done, and this is why I say, you know, you have some people that have been in homes and households growing up where the parents did everything for them, and they really wound up harming the child in one way because they didn't get a chance to stand up on their own 2 feet. Okay? It's like if you keep somebody in a chair their whole life, they'll lose the use of their legs and their muscles because they haven't had a chance to move them. Okay, so they have to have a chance to learn and grow and stand on their own and find out they can. They can do it. They're not as weak as they think they are. So they have to be able to have the chance to find that strength within them, you know, rather than being so smothered that they become even more wounded and you know, feeling of incapable. So it's a fine line and a fine dance. It's great to have somebody that's supportive in a right way, rather than being smothering and trying to do it for you, because you can't do it for another person. And it's difficult to watch somebody going through that process. It can be painful. It can be painful to stand back. This is, you know, tough love though. Sometimes one has to bring tough love in, you know. Doesn't mean you're uncaring, but one has to be willing to give room for the other one to grow and to find out what's there. And that can be a painful process, you know. But really, in the end, it benefits. It benefits. So if you can have that type of a union where there's support there, and there's a commitment, okay? Not talking about just shacking up and be supportive. I'm talking about really going the whole way and making the commitment to be together, okay? And then that also gives a foundation in place, okay? So this is what I'm talking about, you know. I'm not trying to be hard, I'm not trying to be mean to people, you know, by saying don't jump into bed with people. You know, it's not a judgmental thing, but I know the havoc it brings, and one gets caught up in the emotionality of it, and then they lose sight of things. They're not seeing clearly anymore, okay? They're being run in circles by their nether regions, and let's bring it up a little higher, okay? So yeah. So this is very important. Now it's really interesting. I was watching a documentary the other evening, and it was on the Shakers. And it was really interesting because I learned some things I didn't know about the Shaker community. The Shakers, when people joined that community, even families that had a number of children, the whole Shaker community was celibate. So when they came into this community, the women lived in one side and the men lived in the other side. And part of their service was work, the perfection of it. And you look at these woodworking things that the Shakers made, they're all very simplistic. They believed in absolute simplicity and the perfection of what you're doing, what you're making. So it wasn't how much you could, you know, how much product you could put out. It was about taking the time and making it to the best of your ability. So this became like, again, it's another do one thing at a time with full attention and intention. So it became like a moving way of meditation And you look at some of their architecture and these spiral staircases they made and everything, absolutely gorgeous, beautiful work. But because it's a celibate community, the numbers are dwindling and it's about to go under. There are only 200 people left in that community, and most of them are in their late 70s, and you know, so it's not so attractive anymore to this generation's celibacy. But it was really interesting to see, you know, a lot of correlations with the simplicity, doing one thing at a time, doing it all to your best of your ability, you know, to find that inner strength inwardly, not chasing the things of the world, but find it within. Although it was a very Christian-based community, whereas this is not necessarily Christian in outward form, so. But very interesting correlations there in some ways. So another thing that we've been talking on the path of late is entering into quietude, which is simply just sitting, being absolutely still. And the only movement that you should have is the balanced breath. Okay? You begin with the balanced breath, and then you're just sitting, quiet, still. Allowing the sounds to come in that you hear around you, but unmoving. Not even the eyes are moving. Nothing is moving. Absolute still and quiet, and just being in the moment and letting it be what it is. Without projecting, without running into the what ifs and the old storylines, just sitting with what's here now as it is. And then when one learns to do that and is able to put it into your daily life, like I was saying Anshul the other day, even if you have a minute free at work, you can sit still for that moment. And it'll come to a more centering, a more falling away, a more stillness. Take that time, even if you're taking just a break from your work for a moment. Spend a moment, 1 minute, 2 minutes, if that's all you have, 1 minute, 2 minutes, in that quietude. Okay? And then that will help to open things for you as well. Okay? Or have a cup of tea and just feel the warmth of the glass and enjoy the fragrance of the tea. Really get involved with it. Slow down. Because this path is one about you have to relax into it. One surrenders and relaxes. Surrender, relax, surrender, relax. Okay? Because the more you try, the more tense you become. If you're going to do the balanced breath, you have to do it relaxed in order for a good airflow to come. Otherwise, it becomes stifled and constricted. Okay, so one has to relax, put the practices into place, one step at a time. One thing at a time. Very simple. You're given tools here like the COS. After you've been here a month, you get the COS, and you let the practice do you rather than you doing the practice. Okay? So you let this work on you rather than you trying to work doing